Bots and Books fans, this is Scorp1701, and tonight we're going to be taking a look at the Target exclusive McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Gold Label Batgirl. And not just any Batgirl, this is the Cassandra Cain Batgirl. She was the predominant Batgirl in the 2000s and one of my personal favorite Batgirls. I collected her series and it was a very awesome series. The artwork was great and the stories were even better. So I am very glad that McFarlane has given us a Cassandra Cain Batgirl, and unfortunately, it is a store exclusive, so if you want her, you're going to have to go to Target and hopefully find her, but that's okay. I've noticed a lot of her on the shelves lately. I don't know if that's a tribute to her character or the fact that they just put out a lot of these figures. But anyway, taking a look at the packaging for Cassandra, you can see that she is in the standard DC Multiverse box. You do have a shiny McFarlane Gold label sticker right here to denote that she is the Target store exclusive. You have 12 plus. You can see Cassandra Batgirl in the packaging. DC Multiverse Batgirl Cassandra Cain. On the top, you just get 22 moving parts and McFarlane Toys. On this side of the box, you have DC Multiverse Batgirl Cassandra Cain Batgirls, McFarlane Toys. On the other side of the box, DC Multiverse Batgirl Cassandra Cain McFarlane Toys. On the bottom of the box, you do have some credits for the box and a barcode if that is of any interest to you. And finally, coming around to the back of the box, you have Batgirl Cassandra Cain McFarlane Toys, and you can see a nice picture of Batgirl there, and basically that is the cover to Batgirl #1, which is also right here. And this is the second series, the limited series. I think it ran like 6 issues or something after the original ongoing one got canceled, but that's okay. Good artwork, good packaging, I love it, but I don't want to see Cassandra Batgirl in the box. I know you don't. But before we get her out, I did want to compare this packaging with another Batgirl Cassandra Cain figure that I picked up a long time ago, and this is from the first appearance waves. This is the Batgirl that's in the museum, her spot holder, and I don't know, am I going to replace this one with this one? Who knows? But as you can see, this was a different type of packaging and a different type of figure. The first appearance is obviously a little smaller. She's taller. I don't know if that's going to be a detriment. Perhaps not, perhaps. And this is just cool comparison of these two figures in the boxes and the different types of packaging they had from back in the day. Alright, moving on. And here we have Cassandra Cain Batgirl out of the packaging. Now the packaging, she stands approximately 7 inches tall. She comes with a few awesome items such as a trading card, a figure stand, a bat gun grappler, and a batarang. And we'll take a look at all that stuff in just a moment. But first off, I want to look at Batgirl herself. And coming real close in on the Batgirl head sculpt, this is a very nice head sculpt. It looks exactly like it should and like it was in the comic books. You have your standard Batman cowl with the nice long ears. You have some awesome eyes that are blacked out coming down to the nose and the mouth. The bottom of the mask does not show any of Cassandra's face, and that is really cool. Coming to the side of the figure, you do get a little bit of molded in ears. They're very subtle, but they are there, so you can kind of see them right here, so that is cool. Around to the back of the cowl, it basically just comes down to a long neck, and I love that. All right, coming around to the front again. Let's zoom out just a little bit so we can see the upper torso. And basically, the only thing you could really say about this costume is it's all black. Okay, so there is the outline of the bat on the chest, which is really nice, and the outline is done in gold. We can zoom into that and see that. That's pretty cool. Now, the gray on the inside is part of the second series. Normally there would not be gray like the first series. It was just black and you just had the gold outline. But I think the gray kind of gives it a nice break up from all the black, and that's not too bad. Coming down, you do have her utility belt. Now this utility belt, where it is a pouch belt, it seems like it's going to be reused from another Batgirl, because Cassandra's belt should be a little bigger, because Cassandra could barely wear her belt, and I thought that was one of the details that made the character really cute. So scrolling back out so we can see a majority of the figure. The arms are nice and long coming down. You do have the glove spikes coming out here. That is pretty neat. Little bit of detail in the legs coming down to the boots. You do get like top, like bat points right here, kind of look like the top of the bat symbol and the cowl, so that is pretty neat. Coming around to the back of the boots, you do have some continued detail, and on the foot you do have some bat spikes jutting up there. Now I don't remember that. That may be accurate, but I'm not sure. But there it is on the figure. And coming to the bottom of the boot, again, you have some pretty nice detail in there with kind of like a bat symbol right there at the top of the cowl. So that is pretty neat. Coming completely to the back of the figure, nothing that you wouldn't expect. No colors, no anything. It's all black. Now you do maybe get a little variation between the shiny black and then the matte black for her butt, and then a little more shiny for the lower back here. So I don't know, it's different. Now the cape is a different thing altogether, so I'm going to zoom out so we can take a look at it. Cape is nice and black. It is stitched and there is wire in it, so it can actually go out a long way. So if you want to kind of put the cape out, you get a good distance there. That is really cool. So let's see if I can measure that. How long is that? Maybe like, keep going. So that is approximately 14.5 inches. So that's cool. I like it. A lot of width there, and you can see it has a nice serrated edges. I like that. And coming to the front, she can kind of put her hands out like this, and you know, da 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 da. So maybe glide. So that is pretty cool, and I do like the way this thing looks. All right, so that is what your Cassandra Cain Batgirl is going to look like. Moving on. And for articulation, starting at the head can go around 360 degrees. It is hinged, so it can go down a little bit. It can look up a little bit, and you got some wiggle waggle. I like that. Coming to the shoulders can come up from the body, then back down. They can go around 360 degrees, and they are built into a butterfly joint, so she can move around to the front of her body and back, so that is really neat. Coming down, you do have a bicep rotation, 360 degrees there. Beautiful double hinged elbow. You get the whole run there, so that is great. There is no forearm rotation. That will bring you down to the hand rotation, and it is built into the standard McFarlane ball joint, which takes it around 360 degrees, and it can hinge in and out, and depending on where you have the ball joint, up and down. So that is very good. Coming to the center of Batgirl's body, she does have an upper ab rotation, 360 degrees there, and you do get your wiggly waggly. You can go forward and back a little bit, so your ab rotation is intact. But with that being the case, usually most females, they do not have waist articulation, so there is no waist articulation here. Coming down to the legs can come up pretty good way. They can go back not so far because the butt gets in the way. Can go out to the side a long way, so that is good. And if you want, you do have 360 degrees thigh rotation, and that will bring you down to the knee, which is a double knee bend. And if you get her too far up, she's gonna cut herself with her shoe spikes. And that will bring us down. There is no boot cut and no further articulation until you get down to the foot, and the foot is on your standard McFarlane ball joint, and that will take you around 360 degrees, and you can hinge to rock it around, and depending on where you have the ball joint, you can hinge up, And then you can hinge down a long way, and moving down to the toe, you do have some toe articulation for Batgirl. So that is good. A lot of articulation. I do like the double joints. I do like the butterfly joint in the shoulder, and the toe articulation always adds a bit more of a cool feature that you can pose them with. All right, and that is going to be Batgirl's articulation. Moving on. And for Batgirl's accessory, she comes with a very cool golden batarang. I like the style. I like the beautiful color of it and the paint. It is really nice, and she could hold this and pretend like she's throwing it in different poses. So yeah, pretty cool. And I think every Bat character should come with a batarang of some kind. All right, moving on. And for Batgirl's next accessory, she comes with this grapnel gun, and well, I think it looks a little too much like a gun for my taste, but it's done in a nice silver. You got some nice detail in there, and then you have the wire that is bunched up as it's actually looks like it's shooting, and then you have the grapnel hook part of the device, and it's done in a very nice silver. So yeah, it's cool, and she can hold this and shoot it out. But my problem with it, other than the fact that it looks like a real gun, is it's basically reuse from another figure, and the one she had in the comics was kind of specific. You know, there was actually an issue where, you know, it was very important to one of the stories, and it didn't look anything like this. It looked more like the Batman the Animated Series one, but you know, this is what they gave us, and I guess it will do for what it is. Alright, moving on. And for accessories for the figure, you do have a nice figure stand. It's black, nothing we haven't seen before. You have DC on there and a foot peg for her to stand on. Nothing on the back, and you can just add this to your collection. They actually do come in handy when you're trying to pose figures that don't want to stand up. Alright, moving on. And for the last item in the box, you have the Batgirl trading card, and it is really nice. We saw before, it is the cover to Batgirl #1. You have Batgirl Cassandra Cain there, Batgirls. On the back of the card, you do get a brief read-up of Batgirl, so we can zoom in. You can pause the video and read that as long as you'd like, but we must be moving backward and onward. And so, yeah, very nice collector's card, just another to add to your collection. Alright, moving on. And for comparison, here you have Batgirl with the only other Batgirl I have, and that was the Batgirl from the Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line. And they look okay, I guess. I really wish the Cassandra Cain Batgirl was about this height, because I think this is a very good height for Batgirl. And if I was to bring in another 7-inch DC Multiverse figure, let's zoom out just a little bit and bring in Superman, you could see I don't think Cassandra should be almost as tall as Superman, and she's coming up to about his chin, maybe, I guess. Yeah, so maybe she should be smaller. This is more like a Batwoman size, I think, but in any event, that is one comparison. And for a final comparison, here you have Batgirl with a few of the Batman in my collection. And unfortunately, I don't think any of the Batman in my collection will work with her, because none of them look the way Batman looked in the Batgirl comics. You have the animated series Batman here, which is too short. You have the Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Batman here, which is a little taller, but still I think he comes up too short. The DC Essentials Nightfall Batman, my favorite Batman, would work, except his costume isn't right. In fact, the only one that's about the right height and has the same costume is the Alex Ross Justice Batman here. And the thing about Alex Ross's artwork is he makes his characters look really realistic, and I don't think that matches her. So maybe my Batgirl is going to be standing by herself somewhere. Who can say? Alright, moving on. And this has been the Target exclusive McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Cassandra Cain Batgirl. And the Cassandra Cain Batgirl is always going to be my favorite Batgirl. Now, I understand Barbara Gordon is Batgirl. She will be Batgirl in every iteration. Whenever you have a new cartoon, a new movie, Barbara Gordon is Batgirl. But in the 90s and the early 2000s, Barbara Gordon was Oracle, and they needed to have a new Batgirl, so Cassandra Cain came around, and I think she was a very intriguing character. I think her stories were great. I loved reading every issue of this series. It was just fun. So I'm very happy that we got a Cassandra Cain for the DC Multiverse line. Now, I don't think it's a perfect figure by far, but looking at it, it looks great. It articulates great. I mean, look at this pose. The cloth cape that has the wire, it spreads out like it does. That is just awesome. So I can't say anything bad about the way that this figure looks or articulates. But what I will say is I think it's too tall for the Cassandra Cain character. It needs to be a little shorter. The figure is 7 inches. She almost comes eye to eye with Superman, and Cassandra Cain, Batgirl, was not this tall. She was short, and she was little, and the utility belt barely fit her. So you can make some arguments that, one, this might be Cassandra Cain all grown up, and she's reverted back to the Batgirl instead of the Black Bat persona, or you could use this as the Huntress. When this costume first appeared, it was in No Man's Land, and it was actually Huntress beneath the cowl. So spoiler alert if you haven't read No Man's Land yet. But all in all, this is a great figure. So do I recommend it? Well, if you don't have a Cassandra Cain Batgirl and the height difference isn't a thing for you, yes, definitely pick this up because it's a very good representation of what she looked like. There is a lot of reuse parts that I don't really care for, but for what it is, it's a great figure. Me personally, I will not be exchanging this one for the first appearance Batgirl figure that we saw earlier because I think that looks more like the Cassandra Cain Batgirl than this does. But again, I am still happy to have this Batgirl in my collection. So if you are looking for this particular figure, she is a Target exclusive, and you can find her at Target.com and on the shelves, and she will cost you $22.99, $23 and some change with tax. So if you are looking for her, happy hunting. Alright guys, that is it. That is the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great night, and until next time, keep playing.